Greetings, everyone. I'm Dianne Thomas, and welcome back to my Certified High Performance Coaching Training Series in support of Dianne's CHPC Recertified Project 2017. It's an online crowdfunding campaign hosted at Generosity by Indiegogo, and it launched April 17th to help you raise the funds I'll need to recertify as a Certified High Performance Coach in June. Now, the campaign runs through May 26th, so please take a moment to click the link below when this video is over to check it out and hopefully become a contributor or a perk partner, because I am seeking goods and services that I could use as incentives to visitors who come by the site. Now, this series started some weeks ago, and it will be running through May 26th as well. So if you've missed any of the previous videos, please take a moment to click the link and get caught up on that as well. Now, this training series will follow a framework, and that framework is based on the 5 pillars of high performance, and these are the pillars or the framework or the foundational principles that we use as certified high performance coaches to help our clients get to higher levels of achievement. And those pillars are clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence. So I'll be covering one of those every day, Monday through Friday. And so today is Wednesday, so today is ColorMeCourage Wednesday. And as you may remember, at the last get-together, gathering that we had a challenge. I had a challenge for you, and I actually took the challenge on myself, and I gave you my experience in the last video, something of a confessional, around the question, who have you not been honest with about your needs, your desires, your thoughts? And how is that impacting you? What is the cost to you around that? Now, as high achievers, we know that moving from mediocrity to mastery is uncomfortable. And as I'm sure you experienced if you took that challenge on, we are dealing with some preconceived notions about ourselves. And we're having to push our comfort zones to do a lot of these challenges that I'm presenting to you and have some pretty heavy conversations with ourselves. And they can be revealing, certainly, but they're a challenge to move through. Now, in my own journey through this process as well, I was answering that question, as I mentioned to you before. And in making that confession, I realized that I had some avoidance motivators, which I'll mention to you and remind you about, that were threatening my ability to show up as courageous as I needed to be. And those avoidance motivators are usually are fueled by a fear that we have, and a fear about the pain of loss, just losing what we think is a status quo, what we think we need to have. Just the fact of losing that can be daunting and intimidating. The fear also of the process itself, the process of change and what will come up for you is fearful. One may be fearful of, and certainly the outcome, if it's not what you would like it to be, can cause some anxiety as well. Now, I weighed each of these avoidance motivators, that's what I call them. And in this ColorMeCourage session, I wanted to kind of explore a little bit what came up for me when I was thinking about having that conversation with you last week, and certainly how it challenged my natural way of being. Now, I think that we all walk around with a sense of who we want to be or who we think we are, and particularly who we hope other people see us as. We call this the ego, and it controls our thoughts, our deeds, and the way that we interact with other people. And we can see that at its worst, in its high, the highs that we can get with that, as well as the lows that we can get, can be pretty disturbing to people who are witnessing it and watching it. And maybe even the person that's going through it as well. We hear about people ego tripping, and, or people who have very, very low self-esteem. What's important to remember about this all, though, is that to create a healthy sense of self-awareness and balance, that in the how we show up and what we want to portray to the world, we need to recognize that at our core, we have to develop and maintain a healthy sense of self so that we can show up and live in affirmation and in an affirmed way, and living into our potential and into our human being. And as humans being, we know that it takes a while to adapt to anything that's new and anything that seems to be challenging and anything that we think that is going to diminish who we believe we are and who we came here to be. We want to feel comfortable. For the most part, if we have a choice between challenging and pushing our own envelopes and staying in the status quo, we're going to stay in the status quo because that's what keeps us, what we think, safe. So when there's that conversation, even thought about changing anything, like, of how we're used to operating, I mean, we get downright petrified. Now, when I thought about loss pain and process pain and outcome pain, and it being among a lot of why people are not showing up boldly and with courage in their lives every day, I just had to sit and think about that for a second. And then I realized that a lot of times what other people think they're losing is a false reality. What they think they need to hold on to really isn't what they need at all. They're living in a false sense of being. Often as well, the things that we fear in terms of the process that we need to go through to change is because of what's going to come up while we're going through it. We're having to deal with issues, very real issues, and it takes a certain level of preparation and certain level of openness and honesty to just enter into that process and go through it in the way that we need to. And then we do also recognize, or should, as the outcome, as we're coming to the end, or even thinking about what the outcome of change is going to be, that there is some short-term disappointment perhaps because we have to move from a place we know isn't working for us, but we've been comfortable in, to moving to a better place for us. And that outcome, we hope, is going to be what we want it to be. But if it's not, we're afraid of failure. So at its core, though, the perspective that we have about a lot of this and what the ego, the role that the ego plays for us, can really color our courage in very muted and dark tones and doesn't help us move to a healthy place. When I had to think about how I had to come to you honestly about what I needed, the help I needed from you with this campaign, I had to lose that facade, though. I had to let it go. I had to not act like I got this because I knew I really didn't. So I had to have that conversation about the loss and staying in a comfortable place or coming out of that, because I realized it was stupid for me to be drowning in a sea of pride with others within earshot and not ask for the help I needed to save myself, all because I was too prideful or embarrassed or whatever to let you know I can't swim. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense. So I've had to fight my ego like this over the years, many, many times. I had to come out of my comfort zone. I had to ask for help and accept help even when I didn't want to do that. But I realized the fear I had about what I thought I was losing was stuff I needed to let go of anyway. I didn't need to carry it anymore. It became heavy baggage. And though it was a lot of work I had to do, the stuff I was carrying around, and realizing that it was a process that I had to go through to let go of it, I had to be honest with myself. I said, this is dragging me down and it's not serving me. And I could no longer let a fear of the process of having to face my stuff, whether it be psychological or emotional, cloud my view and my way towards being a courageous person and showing up that way. the coping mechanisms that I had developed, I just had to release them and let them fall to the wayside. And in accepting that, I recognize that in the short term, I may be uncomfortable. I may experience some discomfort with this new way that I was trying to be, but in the long term, it was going to benefit me because I would feel lighter. I'd feel more like who I am supposed to be because I would have been honest with myself and honest with the people around me. And also realizing that things aren't all bad when I didn't get what I want. And things aren't all good if I do get what I want. In every instance that I can recall, I had to adjust to that change. I had to change the way I was looking at the situation. Now, is it easy? Hell no. But as high achievers, we know we have to go through, as I mentioned before, some level of discomfort, moving to an elevated place to be. It's absolutely necessary because I know for me, I couldn't let my clarity, my energy, my productivity, or my influence be held hostage by fear of me stepping out courageously. I was not going to let my courage, because like I told you before, my courage has color. I was not about to let my courage be muted in any way. So, high achiever, I certainly hope that you will take to heart this challenge and take a moment and share, even if you don't want to share exactly what this challenge is and the question that you need to ask or who you haven't been honest with, but at least share the process because I'm sure it would help someone. So this is the space we're in, as I've mentioned before. It's one-way communication with this medium, but below this video in the comment box or at Get Dianne CHPC Recertified 2017 is where we can have the dialogue. And I certainly hope you do participate because I know it will help someone. So until next time, have a wonderful Color Me Courage Wednesday, and thank you so much for participating.